Hey everybody. I am back home in the Northwest corner in my car, and I couldn't be happier to be here. I finally, after the last week of session, which is brutal in terms of sleep and activity, but productive, I got home Thursday morning, harvested some stuff from my garden, including some fresh radishes and beet greens, which I got to eat last night, got a full night's sleep. Woke up to the sound of the birds this morning as a colleague of mine and I were celebrating the fact that we were awoken by loud birds instead of texts from colleagues and frantic phone calls to try to figure things out. Had a good night's sleep. This morning took a run in a new pair of running shoes and got my hair cut. So I was trying to reset my habits and to get back home, which is awfully nice. It was a big week, of course. It always is. We closed out, the regular session ended at on Wednesday night at midnight when we gavel out sine die, which is the Latin term for basically the ending a session without a date to return. So no special session unless there are upcoming events, because we did all the things we needed to do, which a big part of which was, of course, passing the budget, which I believe, I'll be looking up some statistics on this, but was the most bipartisan, certainly in recent history. We have to stretch back some time we haven't found one yet that was more bipartisan. It passed in the House 139 to 12 and in the Senate 35 to 1. So that was, of course, a big deal, and I will describe it in more detail sort of as the days come out. I did put something out a few days ago. Time has sort of lost its grip on me. We also passed a couple of other significant finance bills, including on the last day, a bill which starts out as there are two basic bills that the Finance Committee that take up most of our work. One is the budget, of course, and the implementer, which is the budget being the spreadsheet which lists the numbers of that balance the budget, and then the implementer is the policy that underpins that, and that sometimes also contains other things, and particularly when we sometimes wait a while. Sometimes they're not the same bill. This year they were the same bill, which helps narrow helps keep people from sticking too much extra stuff in it, although it always is a long and complicated bill. But the other bill is the bond bill, which is essentially the state uses its borrowing capacity to provide what are really grants to local initiatives and to state agencies. It's a long and complicated bill, but it also tries to recognize the priorities of legislators across the state, bipartisan legislators. So this one also, we decided to include school construction in it, and also a number of bills to give them a chance at passage. Although the House, I have to say, this year was, typically the last day in the morning in particular, there's always a frenzy of last minute negotiation of people trying to get bills over the finish line. But we were pretty organized and also had a good bipartisan dialogue going in terms of getting stuff done. Whereas the Senate was sort of shut down by a 9-hour filibuster. And so there were important bills, including a significant campaign finance reform bill that restores the relevance of campaign finance to the gubernatorial campaign in particular, which has been dominated by self-financed campaigns in recent years, and we'd like to. I am a huge proponent of the public financing of campaigns. I think it makes it possible for a whole wider array of people to run that wouldn't otherwise be able to do so. But that has not worked in the gubernatorial campaign because it's just not enough funds. So we're trying to make that more competitive to make it possible for other candidates to run for that. So because the Senate was shut down, we put that into this big omnibus bill. And so I would say both the budget and and this bond bill, which contained other things, were, first of all, very bipartisan, and the bond bill passed even more overwhelmingly, I think 145 to 4 in the House. They were negotiated right up to the last minute. For the budget, as I was getting ready to introduce the budget, I got called up to the dais where the speaker is to negotiate a section to finish the last minutes. And as I was getting ready, actually pulling the mic out of my desk to introduce the bond bill, I got a call from my co-chair who had an issue in the Senate. And of course, we have to make sure that we have the Senate on board before we introduce it, because we can't be passing different amendments in different House chambers at this stage of the game. So although it did go up to the last minute, we in the House actually had a relatively calm last few hours on Wednesday because we'd done everything we could do when we were waiting for the Senate to take action on stuff. So I'm going to put in, our speaker had a good quote in an article about how you see in that last day who has invested in relationships, because that's what you need to get those final negotiations done, and who is relying just on, authority from a title or something else. And it's the people who have invested in those relationships across the aisle, within the caucus, you name it, who can actually get stuff done because people trust them to live up to their promises. And that's satisfying. So I am looking for, you will also see in the newsletter, bills are starting to get signed by the governor, and then they will take effect, and I'll put that information in there. And then now that I'm back home, there's a bunch of local events that I'm looking forward to going to. Tomorrow there's a Swords to Plowshares event at the Community Garden on San Michael Road, which is turning guns into garden tools, which I'm looking forward to. That's on Saturday at 11. Sharon Ambulance having a pancake breakfast on Sunday morning, and the Great Country Mucho, which is always a fantastic community event to benefit the Little Guild Animal Rescue in Cornwall, is having their mucho on Sunday at Lime Rock, which I again get to be a judge, so which is both high pressure actually, but also really fun. And as the metaphorical fog in my brain and the literal air we breathe is clearing, it feels pretty happy and happy and healthy. So I hope you're having a good weekend, and I'll see you soon.